I am so glad you decided to join us today. This is the Words for Life podcast, where we share perspectives, principles, and testimonies that will positively impact your life. Welcome to episode 21 of the Words for Life podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Farrell, aka T Farrell. And again, I'm so glad that you're with me. We're in December, y'all. We're about to wrap up the end of the year. We're coming down the home stretch, and I was thinking about taking a break, but I figured, why take a break? I know too many interesting people, and the podcast is just starting to take off. We're on episode 21. We're getting great feedback. Again, I want to say thank you for everyone that listens. Thank you for all your support. Everybody that's sending DMs and text messages saying how you're blessed by the podcast. I truly appreciate it. It keeps me going. Also want to ask you right now to like and subscribe. Liking it, that's for us, gets our ratings up a little bit more. If you comment, that'll shoot it up even a little more than that. So that's cool. Subscribing, that's for you. So next time you want to find the Words for Life podcast, it's already in your subscriptions. You don't have to go, what was that again? It's words, the number 4, hot. It's already there. So you know what? I'm going to give you a second. Do that right now. And I appreciate you. Thank you very much. So today, I wanted to go on the entrepreneur kick. So I have a friend of mine. Her name is Charanor. And I hope I didn't mess your name up, Charanor. We're just going to get into a lot of different things. Hopefully it's going to bless you. I believe it is going to bless your life. Charanor, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's great to be here. The best thing is how white my teeth look on this video.
I like it. So you're going to make me go out and get some teeth whitener. That's what
you just need some bright lights. Get some bright lights just like me.
That's all right. I welcome you to, I thank you for taking the time out. Welcome to the Words for Life podcast. And like I like to do, I started off with a real open-end question. Who is Charanor?
Ooh, that is open. Okay. So Charanor I'm a daughter to Elnora and Hayden Marcano. I am an auntie to a little chocolate drop. More importantly, I'm a child of God. I'm also a designer. So I'm an accessories designer. I make shoes, bags, and belts. My preferred material is leather, but I also have vegan options available. Yeah, that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Nice. Now, for those that don't know, or I'll let you know, Charanor, she goes to my church, and we chop it up at lunchtime every once in a while, and then it wasn't long before my wife figured out or got introduced to her business and started buying certain things, and they were just, I want to say they were like a cut above. It was some, yes, the leather mask. I got one of those masks too.
Yeah, I appreciate your wife. She bought many masks for me.
Great yeah, cool. So now, what was the chain of events that led you to starting your company?
Okay, so a few things happened. I'm gonna walk you through it, okay? So right around 2017, I was on a path to get baptized.
Okay.
And while I was on this path to get baptized, I had just graduated from the Passion Institute of Technology, and I had my first job as a designer. But even before that, I'm gonna back it all the way up. My first degree is in marketing from South Carolina State University. My first job out of college was as a stockbroker. I was working on Wall Street, crunching numbers. I left, I moved to Atlanta, and then I started to be a compensation analyst. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that breaking stock wasn't it. And as I was a compensation analyst, then I relocated to New York City because I had an idea that I wanted to be an accessories designer. And I was looking at accessories design programs in Savannah, Georgia, and in New York. In New York, it was $8,000 a year to go to FIT. In Savannah, it was $40,000 a year to go to Savannah College of Art and Design. So I was like, I'm going to go back to New York, become an in-state resident, and then I'm going to see if I want to go back to school. So I have a 9-to-5 like most people. And I'm just, I'm at work and I'm crunching numbers all day long in a little cubicle, which most people do. There's no shame. There's a lot of really great things about day jobs. Direct deposit, amazing.
Amen.
Health insurance, I will never knock that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what I did was after work, I just started taking a couple of sketching classes at FIT. So I was still working full time, taking some sketching classes, and I loved it so much. I was like, oh my goodness, I could do this all day, every day, forever. I would do it for free, but don't tell anybody because I do like getting paid. And so I changed my whole life. I was from that moment where I was acing that class and doing all of those collections. I said, you know what, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to make this a career path. And so I just started saving money over the next 8 months. I applied to the full-time program. And when I got accepted, it was a huge deal. And I quit my job and I started full-time at the Fashion Institute of Technology. And I graduated in 2016. So when I graduated, I'm working for a licensing company for Kenneth Cole. I'm making kids shoes for Kenneth Cole. And nice. Would you know that, like, as a full-time designer, I was sitting at a cubicle drawing shoes all day long. And I was like, this cannot be life. I did not just change my whole life just to sit in another cubicle. I was like, this is not it for me. This is not a good fit for my personality. So being a fashion designer is a little bit like, they act like they're curing cancer. I don't know what to say, but sometimes you'll work at some companies and they think it's the most important thing in the world. It's super high stress. I work straight through Thanksgiving. I work straight through Christmas break because the factories are up when we're sleeping, right? So I'm like at home, approving samples and, making changes on my computer. And I was like, this can't be it. I was super stressed out. My hair was falling out. I was having panic attacks at work. And so one day I'm in the bathroom at work and I'm like crying. And the reason why I'm crying is because, most people have a day where they cry at work. Men, you don't have to admit it, but we know it happens. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm crying and I hear a voice and it says, it's time to resign. And I was like, hello? Who is this? Who is talking to me?
So
and
wait, you heard it audibly?
Audible.
Wow.
I felt the presence. I felt it. It was loud, but I knew it wasn't like of this world, though, I would say. But it was loud. I could not ignore it. And I heard it again. It was like, it's time to resign. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is the loudest, clearest thing I've ever heard from God in my life. So I called one of my prayer partners. We were both on the path to getting baptized at the same time. And I said, God just told me something, told me to quit my job. And she's just like, oh, I'm actually not at work today. I took a day to fast and pray because I'm about to quit my job too.
Wow.
And what's so interesting about that is we were talking about the week before, I think my grandmother had passed away or something. And we were both at my grandmother's funeral at the viewing. And we were so stressed out at work that we were talking about not getting baptized. So we were like, you know what, maybe we should just put off the baptism and get our work lives together. And then we'll, once work calms down, then we'll, do the God thing, right?
Right.
Our priorities were 100% out of whack. And so it was interesting that, we had that conversation. We were both on the same path and we didn't even talk to each other before, immediately before to find out. And so we prayed and I went and I quit my job. And then she quit her job the next day. And that weekend, we both got baptized. And it's the best thing we ever did. And so then I'm at home with no job. Fully washed in the blood of the Lamb. A new creature, right? And now I'm just like, all right, God, what now?
Right.
And I had no direction. I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought that I was going to find another job easily. But as I was interviewing, I just saw the same future. I was just like, if I get another design job, I'm just going to be sitting at a cubicle and I'm just going to be crunching numbers. Not crunching numbers. We're done with that. I'm just going to be drawing for somebody else. And what they don't tell you is you can't actually start your own company when you work for another design corporation, because they own your intellectual property. They own your, whatever you create, they own.
Yeah, you have to sign something. You have to sign something that says, you
pretty much have to sign that you won't start anything that competes with them. And so I was interviewing and I was like, all right, I'm going to stop interviewing. I don't want to do this. I need to figure something out. And I just asked myself a question. I was like, Charanor, if you didn't need money, what would you do? If money wasn't a factor, what would you do? And the answer was, I would design stuff, make it, and sell it. And I was like, all right, Cherry. I'm sorry, I actually call myself Cherry, but nobody else is allowed to call me Cherry.
Really?
Yeah, that's like, it's a self nickname that no one can. So I'm really sorry that I said that out loud, but nobody can call me Cherry. But
okay, because it's a podcast that goes worldwide, but that's okay. Yeah,
it's just between us and your thousands of listeners.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a family here, so it's not gonna get out.
Okay.
From people. But I was just like, all right, that's what we're gonna do. So I started my company from that. It took me about 6 months to prepare for my launch, but I launched on my birthday, November 15th in 2017.
Nice. Now, what are I want to say one of the important things, but what's the most important thing you've learned about being an entrepreneur?
Oof. The most important thing that I've learned about being an entrepreneur is, if you name your company after yourself, you can't quit.
Nah.
Like, being an entrepreneur is super hard. And there are many times where I could have been like, this is it. Like, I'm just going to get a day job and get a 401k and retire. But because my company was named after me, my pride wouldn't let me stop.
Right.
Keep going. So my advice would be to, don't quit, don't stop. And, to help you with that, name your company after yourself.
Nice. No, because a lot of people look at entrepreneur. Yeah, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, and they don't realize the amount of work that goes in it. Because you got to do the marketing, you have to do the creating, and then when you're tired, you still have to do the relationship things and the meet and greets and all of it.
I thought I was stressed out at my day job. I was 4 times more stressed out when I started my company, because it was like, at my day job, I had a team that reported to me. So, I would just delegate a lot of things and I had a lot on my plate. But when I started my company, there was no team reporting to me. There was, if errands needed to be run, I was the one who had to drop everything and run those errands.
Right.
I was everything from top to bottom. Like, years in, I'm blessed to have contractors. I contract models and I contract photographers. I contract, I have interns that'll come and work with me in my busy seasons, but it didn't start out like that. I'm gonna tell you. Right.
No, but I'm glad that you stayed with it, because you named it after yourself, and and now you're seeing some of the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up. It's starting to have some momentum, and I've had some moments that made me really proud, especially in the past year.
That's cool. So I know it's not on course, but what were a couple of those moments that made you feel proud? That made you stop and go,
all right, so during the pandemic, I started making these leather masks. So actually, one of my neighbors, he just ordered a black leather mask. Something like, this is my very first prototype. So this is not, I don't waste anything. So even though I don't sell this, I use this when I'm gluing stuff. So, but here's a few more examples. So he just ordered just like a regular black leather mask, and I did about 3 or 4 prototypes, and a lot of them were really ugly. They just didn't look good at first. But once I got to this one, I was like, oh, this is super cute. And so I made his mask and I gave him to him, and then I took a picture of it. I made one for myself, and then I just posted it on the internet, and it just popped. Like, people started buying them.
Nice.
And I probably made 1,000 of these from the height of the pandemic until now. And
Right.
this is a really proud moment because it was an important moment for America because, we have this huge thing that's ruining everyone's lives and everybody's grounded at home. And now you have to protect yourself. And people trusted me with their protection. And that I don't take that lightly. I'm really,
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
I'm really humbled by that.
That's cool. That's real cool. That's real cool. Now I wanted to ask you because the whole purpose of this podcast is to highlight the successes and some of the challenges and how you came through them. So, one of the questions that I had was, what was one of the toughest things that God pulled you through?
All right. So 2019 was just a crazy year. So last year, my father passed away. And my father passed away March 10th. And he was sick for a long time. And so I kind of knew, that he would eventually pass away. But so he passed away. And that was, if you've ever lost anyone, and a lot of people have, that feels like a knife through the soul. It's just like, it's like your guts are hanging out. It's just like the pain of that. But I was surrounded by friends and family and people who prayed for me and people who loved me. So on the way home from my father's funeral, my uncle was on a bus and he was on his way home and he actually went missing. He just went missing for like a day and a half. And we didn't know where he was or what was going on. And I'm taking a flight back to New York City. I had already been down south for 2 weeks to bury my dad with my family. And then my uncle is just missing. And then once we get off the flight, they found him and that he was in the ER. His bus ran off the highway and flipped over 2 times and 2 people died immediately. And half of the bus was hospitalized and they just put him in the hospital right where his accident happened, which happens to be Virginia, and he was in a coma for a long time. And it was one thing to have my father die, but then it was another thing to have this thing happen right on top of it with my uncle, because me and my uncle, he's my favorite uncle. This is known. It's known that he's my favorite uncle, and he was my dad's best friend. And I was just by his bedside, and his chest was open and he was in a coma, and it was just really hard because I'm running a business while all of this emotional real life stuff is happening. And, I'm going down to Virginia every week to be by his bedside. And, for the first 3 weeks, they were just having end of life conversations with us. They were just like, say your goodbyes and get his affairs in order. And he's just asleep. So, one day I was visiting him and he woke up. He woke up. Yeah. And what's crazy is his chest was still open because there was so much swelling and he had pneumonia and all kinds of crazy things. But he woke up and he started writing notes to me because he couldn't speak. He had breathing tubes and everything. And he kept getting better from there. He kept, one day I went there and he was standing up. And another day I went and he was walking. And another day I went and he was able to eat solid food. And it was just like watching, just watching him come from literally death's door to being discharged from the hospital 9 weeks later. And without God, I don't know mentally how I would have gotten through that because it was so emotional and so heart-wrenching. And the one thing I can say is that God restores, because there's just the pain that I felt and the hurt that I felt. I wasn't in a state of despair, because the righteous have hope even in death, Right. I just remained hopeful, and I was surrounded by really praying people, and God, I feel like I'm completely restored. I feel like, I've mourned the passing of my father, and my uncle is healthy and well and doing better and better every day, even a year and a half later. And he's home and he's independent and he's on his own, and God restores.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, because since your faith is so central to everything, to keeping your mental state right, even your business, how do you stay spiritually energized? Because a lot of times, me being in church all my life, you can hit these lulls where it's just like, yeah, yeah, amen, and for God so loved the world. It almost can get rote, but there's
Yeah.
certain things that that people put in place to keep themselves spiritually energized. And just asking, what are a couple of things you do?
The most important thing for me to stay spiritually centered is the time I spend with God every day. So what I found is it's not enough just to go to church. It's not enough, to show up once a week. I have to literally, in the mornings, I have my Bible study. Mm-hmm. I sit down, I pray, I write out a list of what I'm grateful for. I read a few chapters in the Bible, mm-hmm. and I just finished, and I started over, and I started in Matthew.
Okay.
So I'm starting over in Matthew now, and I also read a few pages from like an extra biblical writing, like Ellen G. White. I'm reading Great Controversy now, so I read a few pages from Great Controversy, and then I sing a song. I used to like really not think singing was a super important part of worship. Mm-hmm. But like, especially personal worship when it's just you, it's just like, who's gonna hear me sing? But it really like adds to the meditation of it all, and it brings like an element of joy. So, I sing a song about God, and then I also memorize every day. I work on memorizing part of the Bible. So I'm memorizing the Three Angels message right now.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, because I know, well, it probably happens to everybody where you run into time management issues and you wake up and it's like, okay, I don't have enough time to do what I normally do or what have you. And I used to feel guilty when I couldn't, put in the time. Either I woke up late or there's a deadline or things like that. How do you deal with that?
I never skip my Bible study. Mm-hmm. So I have had times in the past where I've skipped it, and I've had entire days crash and burn because I thought I needed to save time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what's missing today? Oh, I didn't spend any time with God. And it's not as if God allowed my day to crash and burn because I didn't spend time with him. Like, he's not a vindictive God like that. It's like I didn't take the time to center myself on what's important. So now my attentions and my motives are scattered. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so even if I wake up late, I still spend time with God. Now I might not, read a few chapters that day. I'll read one chapter. I might not read a few pages that day. I'll read one page. And,
right.
Instead of working on a super long passage, I'll just review the passages I already know or something like that. But I don't skip my time with God. It's not been successful for me in the past.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that. I like that. I'm getting to that point where even if there is a deadline, I've found myself telling the person I need a couple of extra days because I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do the worship. And if I'm overloaded, something else is going to fall by the wayside instead of that. That's a nice place to be at. It's a real cool place to be at. Yeah.
I can tell you that I feel better too. It's like, it's just when I'm close to God and when I spend that time with God, I feel good. Like, it's an important part of starting my day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So now if you could, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Ooh. When I was 18, I was overly concerned with what people thought. And I was worried about things that didn't matter at all, like what I was wearing. And what's crazy is I'm now in fashion too. And so if I could tell my 18-year-old self something, I would say, you are powerful, you are worthy, and you are loved. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That's just so important. Just knowing that you're all of these things because you're a child of God, because you're covered.
Right.
Also, it's just like, as far as people's opinions go, it doesn't matter. Worrying about what people think about you is a huge waste of time.
But
it doesn't matter.
It always seems like it plays so it seems like it's such an integral part in so many people's lives. Even if you know that it doesn't mean anything, sometimes you could find yourself like, well, let's find out what they think, and then I'll do that, and I'll do. Oh, I didn't get enough people this time, liking me over here. Let me switch it up and do this. It's that type of world, and I want to say it's easy to fall back into that rut.
Yeah. And then what we realize, it's not even what people think that's holding us back. It's what we think they think.
Yes.
We don't actually know what they think. We don't know what they're talking about when we're not with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're having a conversation in our mind about what people might think about us and letting that stop us from doing what we're really called to do. Now, when you think about it like that, it's a huge waste of time.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. We're thinking about what they might be thinking about.
Right.
Us. Yeah. Such a good point. Such a good point. So what's next for Charanor?
What's next for me? Oh, so I am in the midst of a business competition called Street Pitch. And
okay.
I'm a finalist. So out of 1,000 applicants, it came down to 6 finalists. And I was just in DC a couple of weeks ago, and we were filming our pitches and pitching to the judges. And it's going to air on December 15th. It's going to be on Instagram Live and Facebook Live on the Street Pitch account. And I'm going to have a watch party. And basically the investors, they get to invest in our company. We get cash prizes if we win. And also the people who support us, like, your listeners, will get to invest in our companies through their sales. So if you go on my website, charanor.com, and you love something that I made, your sale to me is an investment in the next project that I'm working on. And the next project that I'm working on is I am working towards launching a line of high fashion flat shoes for high-powered women who want to go from early morning meetings to late-night cocktail parties, all without having to change their shoes. And so this is actually why I even got into the business. Like, I wear a size 12 in women's shoes, and I was never able to find shoes in my size. And I was like, I want to be a shoe designer. I want to start a shoe company. And that's how I got into the whole business. And when it was time for me to start my company, it takes a lot of capital to actually start a shoe line, because you need to have the samples made, and then you need to have them tested, and then you need to market it and sell it. And so I decided I wasn't going to wait until I had all the pieces. I was just going to start with what I had. And what I had was leather, a workshop, and a skill.
Nice. Yeah, definitely send me those links. I'll put them in the show notes. So the website, also when the show is coming out, the link to the show, all of that. I'll put all of that in the show notes. So that's cool. And so where can people find you, support? You mentioned your website. Spell it for people that don't know how to spell Charanor.
Yeah, right. It's a lot of vowels. So it's Charanor, CHARANOR.com. And you can find me everywhere. That's my first name. It's the word charity and my mother's name, Elnora, put together. So Charanor. And I'm everywhere. I actually wasted time trying to name my company something else. And then I realized I would have to teach people the name of my company and then teach them my name as well. And so I was just like, I'm just going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and I'm going to name my company after myself. And now I just teach them one time. And I don't like reprimand people if they get it wrong. As long as you're giving an honest effort to say my name correctly, you get credit. You get credit for the attempt.
Nice. Any final thoughts or words of advice for people?
Final thoughts, I would say get you a solid morning routine. And I feel like I hear people say this a lot, but now that I really have a solid morning routine, I just see how important it is. I wake up, I drink some hot tea, I take some supplements to keep my body nice and strong and my mind healthy. I do my Bible study. I work out every single day. I don't skip a day. Even on Sabbath, I'll take a nice long walk. Mm-hmm. And, then I'm ready to work.
Nice.
And only after all of these things am I ready to do my best work. So, and the other thing is get a good night's rest. This might sound really just really simple. It just sounds so simple. But like, guys, go to sleep. Go to sleep at night. Go to sleep 6 to 8 hours. It will change your whole life.
Okay, see now I'm a jump in here. 6 to 8 hours. My body doesn't even rest that long, like 5 hours, and my eyes pop open. Like, okay, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, okay, go. We're gonna stay asleep. And it's like, come on, man, you're wasting time now. Now we're wasting time. We could be reading the Bible. You could be jumping into this, that. You get a workout in, and 5 hours. And even Sean was like 7 hours. I'm like 7 hours. Mm-hmm. I can't. I don't know.
You think it's because you have a young child now, or have you always been that way?
I've always been that way. I'm a morning person. 4 o'clock in the morning, and boop, I'm up. And
that's great. I'm not a morning person. I don't even, there's nothing about morning that makes me want to get out of bed, but I've had to train myself into getting up when the sun is up, because it's just healthier for my circadian rhythm. I'm naturally a night owl. Like I could easily go to sleep at 4 a.m. and wake up at noon every day, but it's not conducive to success. So I had to break myself out of that habit.
Right. Well, I'm working on the sleep, and it might be the other things, the workouts and all of that I need to put in my day to bring oxygen levels up, and so that I can get a good, decent
Well, do
sleep.
you feel tired at all?
I do in the middle of the day.
So maybe you just need a power nap in the middle of the day.
I do that. I do a power nap, and I get back up and I rock. But sometimes I feel like 7 hours consistently is like the recommended thing, and
but everybody's so different. Like, everyone's so individual. Like, we can't have the same diet. We can't. Everyone's not supposed to drink the same amount of water. So if that works for you, that's great. I know some raw foodists, like people who only eat raw fruits and vegetables, that only sleep 4 hours a night, because their body is actually it's just not tired. Like, it's not weighed down digesting food. So they only sleep 4 hours. So they go to sleep at 4 a.m. and wake up at 8 a.m. every day.
Wow.
It's insane.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. But like you said, everybody's different. Got to find out what works.
Yeah.
Charanor, I really appreciate you being here. I really, make sure I get that information. I'm going to put it in the show notes. God bless you on your business and everything that you're doing. Again, this has been the Words for Life podcast. And like I always like to say, you can will yourself to do better, but you can only be your best with God.
Amen.
And with that, I'm out.
Drop the mic.